Welcome everybody. It's a good turnout. I'm glad y'all came out for this. My name is Professor Kistner. Y'all can call me Rob. I teach here at the Heinz Institute. I teach Intro to Entrepreneurship, Design Thinking. I teach our new AI course, for those of you that don't know me. And we have an awesome guest in for this e-talk. We'll introduce Rose in just a second. But I appreciate you all for being here. We're going to save some time for questions at the end. So start thinking about things you might want to ask now, because I'm just going to randomly pick on people to ask questions if that works. So I am very excited to introduce Rose Salem-Tilford, who's going to be our guest today. And Rose is a seasoned entrepreneur with over 25 years of diverse experience and a proven track record of success across various sectors. As the founder of Salem & Salem Consulting, Inc., a certified women-owned business enterprise, Rose established a foothold as a preferred vendor for Fortune 500 companies and New York State and city agencies. Rose's entrepreneurial ventures also include the conception and launch of an entertainment and marketing company that sold for over $50 million, as well as a fashion retail store that integrates brick and mortar and e-commerce operation. With more than 6 years at the helm of 360 Business Coach, which is Rose's current venture, Rose has dedicated herself to empowering entrepreneurs. Clients span numerous industries, including e-commerce, private jets, luxury concierge, publishing, entertainment, legal, medical, nonprofit, hospitality, marketing, out-of-home advertising, merchandise licensing, fashion, and real estate. That's a lot. We're going to have to talk a little bit about that. That's pretty exciting. Rose is a firm believer in the importance of return on investment and deep market knowledge as essential to business success. Her motto, measure twice, cut once, emphasizes thorough preparation followed by decisive action. At 360 Business Coach, Rose offers AI coaching, CEO peer group coaching, personalized one-on-one sessions designed to develop tailored plans and strategic steps that help, I'm missing the end of it, strategic help that, I'm missing the end of it, but strategic help for business owners.
That's a lot.
I mean, you have a lot of good stuff going on. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
It cuts a lot of my story out, which is good, by the way. I'm like, I don't want to bore you guys. I really want to get to the meat.
Well, let's just jump right into it. Let's start with where you're at now. 360 Business Coach. So I've had the opportunity to look at the back end of 360 Business Coach and see some of the stuff you're doing. And one of the things I was really excited. I was really excited about bringing Rose in for is, when you think about executive coaching, it's a high-touch, person-to-person kind of thing. You're helping people overcome whatever challenges they have in their professional lives. But you've also found really new and novel and effective ways to integrate technology. So why don't you share a little bit about 360 Business Coach and some of the crazy stuff you're doing?
Okay. So I am the owner of 360 Business Coach, and everybody can hear me because I tend to talk a little bit. Okay. I started it about 2019, and since then I've worked with so many hundreds of owners, and I say owners, not everybody's an entrepreneur, we'll get into that, over the years. And I think what really makes me good at what I do is not just that I have the knowledge of what coaching is, but also I have all this wealth of experience. So I don't want to just go on and on. This is going to be a fire chat. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think a business coach does? Let's start there. Does anybody know what a business coach does? Nobody wants to jump in here. Oh, go ahead.
I would say, well, they have to give honest, brutal, if needed, brutal feedback about the state of the business they're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We definitely do that.
Well, you kind of stole my answer. I would say giving criticism to entrepreneurs, pinpointing the main struggles they face, and then giving them the solutions to fix them.
Okay.
Also acting as a mentor, providing experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we operate from a very positive side. We really try to stay away from the negative. Even if a company is having a problem, my job is to look for how I can help you excel at what you do best and give you the support you need in areas that you're not good at, right? We believe that positive action-based coaching is everything. So think of me like an athletic coach. They're pushing you. And the way I push you is I ask you questions. That's why I don't just want to sit and talk to you. I want to ask you questions, to pull out things from you for what you don't know and and it'll help you think of what you need to know, okay? So that's what coaching is. Now, what is on being an entrepreneur? How many people here want to be an entrepreneur? How many people believe they're entrepreneurs? 1, 2, oh. Okay, great. So what's an entrepreneur? And not the textbook version. What do you think it is?
Hustler.
Okay. When you say hustler, what do you mean?
I say that's someone who never gives up even though they find a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Over here.
Think out of the box.
What was that?
Think out of the box.
Yes, innovation, and really being a risk taker and being resilient, because that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Just having a business isn't it. When I started out, I owned a business. We talked about Salem, and really that was me doing a day-to-day. I was good at it, and I'll tell you the reasons why. The reasons why I was good at it is really key components of being a really successful entrepreneur, and why I've actually shifted and how I was able to shift into AI after about almost 30 years of being a business owner, an entrepreneur, because I have more of an entrepreneur mindset than a business owner mindset. Everybody following? Okay.
Good. Please, keep going. Well, let's jump in a little more detail. What do you
Okay.
think is the biggest distinction between someone who's just a business owner versus someone who's an entrepreneur? Because there is a difference,
Yes.
but I'm interested in your perspective on
So
this.
a business owner is basically what I did when I started out. I was in service, and I picked up the challenge of actually opening up my own business, and I worked it day to day. I had no thought of really the big picture, how to grow it. I wasn't thinking of anything like that. I was just, the opportunity came, which is important. Opportunity came, and it came knocking, and I acted on it, which gave me that entrepreneur personality, okay? So a business owner is somebody that just has a business, and they're working their business. And I like to think of them like the worker bee. They're probably more doing the labor and a little managerial. But to be an entrepreneur, you have to be innovative. You have to be creative. You have to be able to think out of the box. And then you have to be resilient, because you have to be able to stay in it. It's not about just like, oh, I have an idea. Okay, the opportunity of the idea, which we'll talk about, which is market demand. But then being resilient to be like, okay, that did not work, but I'm going to shift a little bit, and I'm going to make it work. And that's what makes you an entrepreneur. Thinking big, overlooking. Then also, people like to say serial entrepreneurs. We have several different companies. Sign me up. But I didn't start out that way. I started out as a business owner and saw opportunities and areas for me to jump into, and it got me there. That's why I'm here with AI.
So would you say the business owner is sort of more an operational thing? It's the
Yes.
day-to-day, the grind, like making things happen, but the entrepreneur is really
The
the
thinker.
innovation, the thinker, the adapting, and all of that. And I think you see a lot of businesses fail because they're not entrepreneurial. They see some success, they can sustain their business, but they don't evolve. They
Exactly.
think that's it, right?
They
And
don't
business
do
always
well in
changes.
change.
Yeah.
And I think when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to adapt and change. And business is always changing. It really is. All right. Any other? Do you want to ask me anything?
I have questions, but I mean, if y'all have questions, you have thoughts about what we're talking about, let's make this as interactive as possible.
Yeah.
I could talk all day, so please.
So good.
So when I think of an entrepreneur, I think of someone that takes risks. Obviously, they're a hustler. They dream a lot. There's more of a focus on like self-growth, but your business is more of a selfless approach.
Right.
And I'm interested in what made you take that over just focusing on your own development.
Good question.
Well, I think to make a good business work and be successful, you can't just think about yourself. And you do not want to be a sole entrepreneur, because you need support. You know, you need to have people do different things. You might need from emotional support, intellectual support, financial support, but then most importantly, it's always good to just give back. And in everything we do today, we are giving. When you're selling a T-shirt, you know, don't just sell the T-shirt because you want to make that, you know, $1. You want to make sure that person loves that T-shirt, and if they love that T-shirt, they'll refer you. So there's always a component of actually giving, and all the businesses I did, I never realized that was one of my really strong character strength, was that I love to give, and I love the fact of helping other people, which got me into coaching again. But when I started off in staffing business. Salem was a staffing company in technology. And it's funny how I've always believed that, like, you're always building on everything. Your experience, even in school, all those things, you're building on it. And it makes you who you are. And that strength that you get, your experience and your character strength put together, opens up a wealth of opportunities. You just have to be willing to take them.
So let's back up a little bit. So 360 Business Coach, I definitely want to have you demonstrate some of the
Yes,
amazing AI
we
stuff
will.
we're doing, but we're going to get there. But I think let's rewind a little bit. You've done a lot of entrepreneurial things.
Yes.
You started a lot of companies. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other activities in the entrepreneur space you've engaged in prior to the 360 Business Coach.
Okay, so my story with Salem, I think, is the most fascinating one, and then I'll get into the others because it all spills over. But I started that, I was 29 years old, and I just had a baby. And I was married, yes, it was in the 90s. And how I started that was interesting. I'd worked in staffing business and technology, and I'd been let go. And I was home, and I had a consultant that I'd become friendly with. In business, that's what happens. And he was working at Citigroup, and he said, Rose, you're really good at what you do. My manager needs CICS COBOL developers. It's mainframe, long time ago, you guys. And I'm like, okay. He was like, you know the people. I'm like, yes, I know the people. He was like, so just talk to my manager. I was like, I don't know about that one. And my husband, who was my great support, he was a business owner for years before. He was in the music business. He had a label with Lisa Full Force. You guys are too young to know this. But anyway, a platinum record. So he was like, Rose, you can do this. You're made to do this. I was like, I did. I took that jump, that's what makes me an entrepreneur. I calculated the risk. I was like, listen, I know the people. I can definitely help them. And I took it, I went out, I got a fax machine. It was 1997, okay. I only put $1,000 on my credit card, and it was a success. Within 6 months, I made $500,000. Within a year, I made $1 million. And I went on to be on the preferred vendor list for Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, New York City, New York State, St. John University. We actually taught the teachers in Java, and no, I do not program at all, okay? But I had an incredible team. So that was my technology experience. And then moving forward, my husband, as I said, had an entertainment company. Unfortunately, he had cancer. And so after our second child, I had to take over his entertainment company that had a Warner deal, was a label. And if you know anything about a music label, then tell me if I'm talking too fast, because I can go, okay? It was a label deal, and I had to take over that. And at the same time, I started a nonprofit. So this is my entrepreneur mind working. I'm like, whoa, I know what I can do. I know a bunch of entertainers. And at the same time, we were doing deals with India, bringing people from India, and also doing projects in India in programming. These banks were doing. And I was like, you know what? You know what they do all the time? They train everybody there. We send the project there. They train everybody there. And then they come here, and then with H-1 visa, and we give them jobs. Well, why can't we do that with disadvantaged youth? So that led me down the path of partnering with the Harlem YMCA. Russell Simmons was on my board. Allen Houston was on my board. And we actually partnered with Sun, and we trained 20 students in Java, all free. It wasn't paid. It was all free. And only 2 of those went on to work in technology. And for me, that was my huge failure. Because I was like, what? We're not gonna. And Russell, I'll never forget what Russell said. He was like, Rose, you help who you can help. You do the best you can. 2 people actually went on to actually do it. So that fed my passion to help people. it fed it more. And then it just went on after that. I merged Salem and Salem. I closed that down, and I had Motorjam Record and Salem Entertainment, and merged that into entertainment marketing company. Wrote a 50-page business plan. If anybody has ever done that, you don't need to do that anymore. It's now a deck, but back in the day, you had to do a business book. And I wrote that, and an equity investor in Louisville was interested in it, and he invested, and he wanted to have a sports division. So we then added a sports division to it, which then gave us Rasheed Wallace, because we rolled in Bill Strickland. So that had agents and managers. So Janet Jackson's manager, Sierra manager, I couldn't name names, but it doesn't make a difference. It was a huge roll-up of agents and managers. That was later sold off in 2010 for $15 million. In between there, now the thing about me is, like, I see an opportunity and I'm like, oh, I think that's a great idea, but then I back it up by, wait, is this feasible? I do a feasibility study. I do my market demand. I see who I'm selling to. I get to know who they are. Do they want my product? So I did a retail store. Didn't know anything about retail, maybe not the smartest thing to do, but I did do my work on it. I love that store. It really made me feel great going into that store, and people loved it. I left it and moved back, because that was in Midwest Cincinnati, and I moved back here in New York. So there's a lot of different businesses still in the entertainment world, still have a music label, royalties, and in between that time, because I do believe in passive income, I have real estate properties, and then and so I have royalties. So that's an important part also about being an entrepreneur. We think of ways of always to continue making money, you know, and hence that led me down the path of also AI Rose and membership, because that's also a way to make money while you sleep.
So here's a question for you. No, it's great. It was great. Here's a question for you. Like, lots of entrepreneurial activity, lots of things going on. You have lots of things happening simultaneously. How do you manage it all and compartmentalize all of your obligations for all these different moving parts?
I like to think a lot of entrepreneurs were ADD-ish. And the funny thing is, I don't think I am, but my kids are like, and I think I'm the calmer version of somebody that's ADD. But the reality is, I do it well because I don't try to do everything by myself. You know, I'm the head of some things, but I'm not the head of everything. When that big roll-up happened, Jonathan Blue wanted to step in, and I said, okay, Blue, I couldn't do your thing. Like, it made sense. It was huge. So I would say you can own a lot of companies, but you can't be the master of all. You have to choose, and you have to be willing to let go. Delegate and let go.
So to that end, you build something from the ground up yourself. You have a lot of love for that. You get protective of that. How do you know you're getting the right person in to take that over? How do you pass that trust on?
Well, and that is a huge, look, when I did the store, maybe not the best partner. She was a stay-at-home mom, never worked before. She had a passion for clothes, but whoa, that was maybe not the best choice. And you learn, you know. You're not going to always hit it out the park. You're not always going to make the best, but you do have to make, it is a little bit of guesswork, but you have to really think through it. Like, what does this person have that I don't have? Is this person somebody that can stay in it? You know, and that's the key. Like, I'm not in technology. Do I want somebody else that has technology? Mm-hmm. I'm not a marketer. You know, do I need somebody that does marketing? Mm-hmm. You know, and then really look at the person's strength, character strength. Will they stick around? You know, do they have the support to do it with you? Because that's the other thing. As much support as you need is really important.
So in your history as an entrepreneur, lots of great success, but every entrepreneur goes through failure. And so how did you navigate some of those points of failure? How did you work through that?
I take take breaks. You know, you have to respect yourself. You have to understand yourself. You have to be willing to listen to yourself. And when you feel that you're overwhelmed, take a break. Doesn't mean you're giving up. Because if you walk away from it and never do it, then you end where you end, and you may have felt like you felt at that point, right? But if you take that break and that self-care that you need, you'd be surprised where you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm good, So there are times when I paused, like I paused after the store. I did the store, I needed a break, and my marriage and everything was falling apart. Second husband, marriage was falling apart, and I needed that break, and I did that, and that's what I'm telling, you want to be able to take that break, but you want to be able to pick back up and be like, okay, what did I learn from that? Because I do believe in failing up, and you fail up by learning from your mistakes.
It's so interesting, there's a misconception in the entrepreneurial world that when you hit a snag or you have a point of failure, you're facing a challenge, that you got to just grind it out and beat your head against the table until you solve it. But more often than not, entrepreneurs say walk away from it.
Yeah.
Take a break and come back refreshed with new perspective and without as much stress and anxiety, and then the synapses start to connect, and then you think through it. So it's really interesting that we hear that a lot.
Exactly.
You
got to be kind to yourself. If you're not kind, who's going to be kind to you?
So with 360 Business Coach, what was sort of the catalyst or the trigger that made you pursue that or sort of kick that off in your head?
I'd always done a little bit of helping others, but I didn't even know what coaching was. I was approached by, I think it's Vistage, and they said, hey, do you want to be a facilitator for CEO peer groups? And I was like, what's that? And they're like, well, you facilitate a group of business owners, and you help each month. One person stands up, and they tell about their business and the problem they're having, and the group as a whole helps to solve it. You know business, then you'll steer it. I'm like, I kind of love this idea. I'm going to help my friends. So I was like, okay. Well, why not do it for me? Why am I doing it for you? Now, that idea was probably 2015. I didn't open this until 2019. I was doing other things. And I had to find the opportunity because I didn't really understand it then, right? I understood the concept, but it was always in the back of my mind. And with coaching, you have to study, you have to know your craft. And I've always been the type of person that, like, I'm not going to do anything unless I 150 believe it in it. If I don't think I can help you, I will not work with you. And so it took time. But that's how I got into it. And I've been doing one-on-one coaching, peer group coaching. And I tell my clients, one of the things I tell my clients is, you want to multiply yourself. You don't want to do it by yourself. You want to multiply yourself. How else are you going to make millions? This is how we do it. And then I was like, wait, why aren't you telling yourself that? I'm like, because, I'm kind of good. But I'm like, why not? I could help more people. And then AI came in. And I've been working with it for about a year now, with the AI agent.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
we're going to maybe demo that in a minute, but
Yeah.
before we do that, what sort of set you off with trying to integrate AI into your business? Was there like a moment or some realization that
My
you...
obsession with AI. It started the first time I touched ChatGPT. I was like, oh, because I never used Siri really, and I use Alexa for music, but I used it for doing blogs. And I was like, whoa, I don't have to pay somebody now $400 to do a blog for me. Wait a second. So that was my like light bulb moment of, wait, I could use it to write my emails. I just tell it a few prompting and tweak it and tell it how to sound like me. Yeah, and the more I used it, the more I trained it. And that's what everybody has to know about AI. You are training it every time you use it.
Awesome. So you think now's a good time where we can show some
Yeah.
cool stuff? Y'all want to see some cool AI stuff?
Yeah, because my platform is all done by AI. And when I tell you that the whole chat thing, I just kind of lost my mind on it, I did. All right, so.
We're gonna take a quick minute intermission here and
Yes.
get this thing set up on screen, and then you can sit with your computer if you like. It'll mirror if that's good for you.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Right, it's all wireless. Now we're trying to get
Oh, technology.
Gotta sign in, and then I gotta get you hooked up to this thing, so. So,
All right, am I up?
you wanna, let me drive for 2 seconds. So we should be able to-
So while he does that, let me ask you something. How many of you guys use some form of AI right now? All right. How many of you guys have built an AI agent? Okay, what kind of agent have you built? I don't know if you can hear me. Go ahead.
I've been trying to build an agent to help with like research, for like papers that I'm currently doing.
Okay.
I don't know how well it works, but
What platform are you using?
ChatGPT.
Okay. Chat should be helpful on that,
Yeah.
pulling.
It does help a lot. And it was with the paper I'm currently doing, for a conference coming up in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that innovation, that the entrepreneur?
Or you're doing something different.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
a different thing, yeah.
Okay. And
That's it.
you said you did, what are you doing with that?
It was actually for a course, so I was taught how to build the model. It was on through ChatGPT, the paid version. So we were basically building it from the ground up, and giving it prompts and
Oh,
all
nice.
sorts of things to, I guess, dedicate to it. How we're going for it.
So what do you want it to do ultimately?
My prompt was for like a gaming guide. So like we had like the freedom to choose whatever we wanted to, like to build it for it. And I just built it for something that I do on the regular, so gaming. So I built it on that, so I could just ask it a question all the time and it would answer it. So it's like somebody, run the game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the thing about agents I want you guys to understand or remember is you got to think about it like when apps started. And this is, I don't know how young you guys were when apps started. Right? It was at 2010? Was apps when people started using apps on their phone? Was it like 2010?
2009,
All right, so you guys, you guys are around. When that started in business, people were rushing to apps. And the reason why they were rushing to apps was because you could make a lot of money. People were doing memberships and all that, right? Subscriptions. But you had to make sure that that app solved a problem. It's like that with business, any kind of business. AI agents, they will, literally everybody here will actually have an AI agent eventually, okay? And that you should know. But if you want to be the person that actually has that created that app to sell to others, it has to actually solve a problem and make life easier. And that's where it's all going. It's that simple. It's not complicated. That's it. Right now we're in the infancy stage of it, but it'll get to a point where, you're like, you'll ask a question like, I'm having dinner, I'll ask a question, like, hey, I'm having this person who has allergies and nuts. This person is kosher. This person's not eating meat. Well, what can I make for dinner? And it will answer me and it'll say, I ordered everything for you. I know what's in your fridge. I ordered it for you. It's going to be delivered at this time.
Does
That's
anybody,
where we're going.
sorry. Does anybody not know what an agent is? Has anybody never heard of an AI agent? Just making sure we're speaking the same language. You don't know.
Yeah.
Never heard of an agent? So the easiest way to think about an agent is like with ChatGPT, you type in a question and it answers you. An agent, you can ask it to do something and it will leave ChatGPT and engage with other platforms. So it performs multi-step tasks across multiple platforms. And the example you commonly see is booking a trip. You say, I'm going somewhere, and it'll check the cheapest flights and look for the best tours of the place you're going and find the best restaurants and put it all together in an itinerary. So it's a multi-step process. And so,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm just making sure. I know
Yes.
my class knows, but I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that. that
I'm
everybody's
always,
saying
I think everybody knows. I
Everybody
deal with
knows.
older people too. But the young, you guys know more than my age, because they're less interested in change, but everybody's gonna get there. All right, so I'm sharing with you our platform, and the reason why I'm sharing with you the 360 Business Coach platform is because it's incredibly helpful to entrepreneurs or people that want to be entrepreneurs. But more importantly, I want to show you how I was able to use all the tools that I'm talking about with AI, integrating AI, to actually create this. And no, I did not develop this. I have people that did this. But there's a lot of resources in here that I use. And I'm going to start with here. All right. So there's a resource hub that we created, and one of the things when I created this platform was it's all wrapped around an AI agent. The AI agent coaches you and helps you along the way, holds you accountable. That's what coaches do, and gives you positive quotes and keep you on your path, and gives you suggestions on how to do things. But then I was like, entrepreneurs need so much more. They need to know what tools to use. They need to know what to do, and they need also to be inspired on a regular whenever they need it. So one of the things you got to think about an AI agent before I jump further into this is 24/7. That's the beauty of AI agent. If my clients want to reach me, they have to wait until the hour and the day that I meet with them. They can text me and they can send me an email, but I'm just not, because I'm working with other people, right? An agent, 24/7, they're solving problems. So this, where you see it says Resource Hub, guess what that was created by? Come on. Yes, but which AI?
Yours?
No, no. What does everybody use like lately? ChatGPT. Now I want you to take a look at how it looks. It doesn't look like a real picture, right? But it's kind of cool. So I liked it. Okay. So as you go into the site, you'll see that it has just different tools and resources for entrepreneurs. I'm going to come out of here, which is always needed, because Excel sheet, feasibility study, all that stuff is needed. But I want to share with you something that's a little different and just show you. So that's created with that. And also, even the titles that you saw, created from AI. I gave it suggestion what I wanted titles, and it just made it sound so much better. I was like, oh, okay. So then, the video ball. So, I told you guys that how I when I work with people, I'm pushing them. A big part of it is I'm always using different coaching tools, like because people have mental blocks, right? You have stress, you could be stressed out about work, you could be stressed about school, you could be stressed about what's going on in your family. So I created different tools and I put it online where they could be 24/7, but I didn't do it. I had my AI do it. So I'm going to give you an example. This is AI Rose. And this is your first introduction to who she is. Instead of me actually sitting down and writing the script, I had ChatGPT write the script, and then I imported into Did, and I'll show you that platform in a second. I want to show you the back side of this.
Hey, it's Rose from 360 Business Coach, here to guide you through a simple yet powerful exercise designed to help relieve stress and bring you back into balance. Diaphragmatic breathing, also known as belly breathing. Now let's take a moment together to pause. Whether you're seated comfortably or lying down.
All right, she will talk you through a breathing exercise. There's a bunch of different exercises she talks you through. What does that do? It saves me time, but then more importantly, it helps my clients at 3 a.m. in the morning when they're stressed out. So there's a lot of these, but then the tool I want you to understand, I use Chat and I use Did, and I'm going to show you that platform soon. Any questions so far? Okay. Anybody? Okay.
Chime in at any point.
All right. Now we get to AI Rose. Full-blown AI Rose. Okay. You see she got a little upgraded, huh? So there's... and it's all me. Why am I using myself? Branding, but beside branding, you guys, there are laws. You can't just use anybody's pictures, And even my voice that you hear is cloned. I am not speaking, it's all cloned. And so if we ask her, let's just type in, how do you work? Oh.
I provide guidance on business growth and AI integration, help set clear goals, offer AI education, resource recommendations, and analytical support. I also co-host a podcast on business best practices and AI trends. How can I assist you further?
All right. What she's great at doing is, like, if you're like, I have a business in whatever it is, I need to get clients. How am I going to get clients? She will actually tell you how to get that and ask if you want to make a plan. So, any questions so far on this?
Have you ever had a personal conversation?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do a lot of times. I'm like, yes, I'm talking to myself. But there's now, how does she work? I'm going to tell you the back of her. She's ChatGPT in the background. So the more I use her, the smarter she gets. The more people online, my membership uses her, the smarter she gets. She's learning. It's like training an employee. And that's what I want you, notice I'm not even using the
No, that's okay, it's just picking up.
That's what I want you guys to all understand. AI agents are, in business, they're like new employees. So keep that in mind, because if you guys tell it to do bad things, I call it garbage in, they'll get garbage out. I could have her speak whatever tone I want her to speak in. I could have her give certain answers. Now, there is governance, which we probably should talk about.
No.
Does anybody know what governance are in AI world? Okay, so basically think like this. It's rules and regulations that we have put in place that makes it safe, that makes it private, that makes it, wait, what am I? Governance is safe, private, ethical. There's one more. What am I missing? Safe, private, ethical. It'll come to me.
I can't think of
It'll
it.
come to me. But it's really important to have these. Oh, and fair. There we are. And fair. It's really important because if you don't have these guidelines in, you will create something that eventually, it's not there yet, when it has cognitive thinking, is able to think on its own, and no, it cannot do that yet, but they say we're only 3 years away from that. They used to say it's 10, now it's 3. You don't want it doing something that could harm human beings. And a lot of people have that fear, but maybe we don't teach it bad things. You know, maybe we put boundaries in. Just like when you have a kid, you don't teach it bad things. You try to give it the best.
I have a quick question, if I may. So you have this platform available to your members and clients. Now, some people would be really interested in talking to an AI person like this. Some people might be really put off. So what's been the response from your clients? Have they been interested?
At first, they're like, but I'm like, you know you could ask it when you can't ask me, right? And they're like, oh, because certain things is kind of information that is standard. But I am available, and I do have other coaches that I work with that are available to work with people one-on-one. But understand, working with me, I'm about $1,000 a month, and then this is only $35 a month. So people that are starting out, this is great for them. And because I support this platform, I do basically a CEO peer group quarterly, where people can jump on, still at $35 a month, and talk to me and ask questions, and they hear other people's story as well.
So it's like a pretty smart business move, because the cost of entry is much lower for people that are interested in engaging your services. They can kind of test this out. It's based on your knowledge base in your program, and then they like it and they decide they want to pay the bigger price tag to work with you.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I really do what I preach. So I am heavy in technology. I want to help other people to be heavy in technology, because as the president says, we're in the golden age, and you don't want to get left out, you know? Yeah. And this is the way you stay in it. Stay up to date. Be innovative. So I'm going to show you the tools behind her, because Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, how did you formulate the team to help you build the website and the people, product developers that help get into that? Like, how did you formulate that team, and where did you go looking for them?
Oh, okay. So remember, I
question.
come from a technology background in the sense I'm not a programmer, but I understand enough to do damage. So, I actually was resourceful. And I do work with the network I have. I do know a lot of people in different areas. So I had somebody, the original site I did was a programmer that I had that I knew through another programmer that did it, right? I also knew somebody that had training and employment working with department stores, and she came in and she's like a headmaster of training. I had somebody else that was in psychology. This is all when I started. And when I started, I did it as a DBA, which is doing business as. I hadn't incorporated, and my thought behind it was like, let's see how this goes, you know? And it took off really well, but I picked my people from who I knew and what they did. And then from there, I branched out. To get to this, to where I am right now, believe it or not, I used a lot of people from Fiverr. Even my blog writing, I found that I could use people from Fiverr that weren't very expensive, that would do a lot of the work for me. And then yes, I had somebody on staff that would do all the blogging. And now she's, it's so easy for her because basically she uses chat and me. But you really got to be, you pick, you see who works. And Fiverr is great. And I'm saying it because the way I found the people on Fiverr is I looked for people from the United States mainly, people that had a really good review. And specifically, they had to be doing in the area that I needed them to be in. So that's one. And then with me, I stay up to date with AI because I'm always on YouTube and I'm always researching, and so things are always popping up daily. If that helps, it's just a difference between my network and then really looking out to see what's out there. I'm not afraid to jump on platforms and check them out at all, and you can't be. It's just be careful when you do it, but you have to do it.
Any of you ever used Fiverr before? Any of you do any work on Fiverr before? You should check Fiverr out, it's pretty cool.
He does back there. Yeah, it's very cool. And in fact, I'm an affiliate of Fiverr. I've used them so much I could refer them and recommend them. They're great. Any other questions? Okay.
Let's check out the back end.
Okay. So let's look at the back end. So remember.
I think there was a question back here.
Oh, I missed
Is
it.
there a lady over here?
Oh, I can't see your head.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey.
I just had a question about, so you said the more you put information into the AI,
Mhm.
it like curates it to be like how you would respond in person.
Mhm.
When you first started, did anyone ever say like, couldn't you just ask ChatGPT itself the same information? Like.
Interesting you say that. So when you're creating these, you're creating them by giving them knowledge and information that chat generally doesn't have. Chat, what it does, it goes out to the wide web. And so that's why sometimes you get information that's not right. Like I once asked ChatGPT, I was like, so how many new companies were started in 2023? And it said 500,000. I was like, that sounds a little low. All right. I was like, wait a second. Wait, where did you get that answer from? And it was like, from a small business. And I was like, okay, take me to it. And this is where I say, it doesn't say it's wrong. And then it corrected itself. It says it's 5.5 million. That's a huge difference, So I'm sharing that with you, is that with the people that I work with, I want to make sure you're getting the best information. So ChatGPT allows it to grab information from the sites that I tell it to grab it from, the Census Bureau and different Nelson Report, just different sites that I know is going to give you the statistics you need for whatever you're searching for. And usually it's to understand your market demand a little bit better. Everybody understands when I say your market demand, right? Okay, right? Maybe Am I
Should,
losing you?
it should.
Okay. So that's why you don't want to just use ChatGPT. So this, I want to show you. One of these should be, yes, this is better. All right, so I'm going to go into my AI agent, AI Rose, on the back end. I'm going to show you guys how simple this was for me, because I'm not a coder. All right, so yes, I use it. So this is, to do this is a picture of myself. I put it through a software, I believe it was an app, Face app. I put it through that to give me her, because I wanted to change her outfits and all this stuff. And then I had to come up with instructions for AI, the AI agent, which is there. Can anybody see that? All right, it's a little long. And believe it or not, I had ChatGPT help me create the instructions for her. Then, I'm going to show you something else, you guys. Her knowledge base. Her knowledge base is hybrid, and this goes back to your question, why? Because I fed it my book, because a lot of people, when you join as a member, you actually get my book that's on Amazon for free. And it'll coach you through it, because in it, it'll ask you questions, and there's some things like we're sitting here and I'm like, hey, does anybody know this? Do you understand what I'm talking about? It just makes sure you understand it as you go along. So the book is in there. Everything about positive mental state of being and operating from the strength is in there. And then more instructions as a book is in there, and it's infused with a lot of entrepreneur mental growth things. So that's in there. So do you see how it's not just ChatGPT and why it's important? Because also it has another book in there, which I did for coaches that helps it to guide you the way I coach somebody. So that's very important. But do you see the back end? Okay, that's an idea. Then now I want to share with you, because we were talking about the website. There's so many components that I use AI agents for. I use it for marketing. I use it for the day-to-day service. I use it for sales, and I use it for customer service. So if you go on 360 Business Coach, your first part, you see Brian. Right there, that's Brian, and he'll answer your questions. Okay, so that just gives you an idea how I use it. If you go into the blog, remember I said ChatGPT, but then I've gotten better at it, you guys. So now, I use Chat and Gemini. Have anybody uses Gemini? What do you like using Gemini for?
I like to use it for like, whenever I like a paragraph or like, just basically for writing.
What do you use it? What do you use it for?
For searching articles on Google, something like that.
Anybody use it for art? I do. Those people are not real. That's completely generated by Gemini. Do you see the difference with the art in this versus ChatGPT art? So if you want something to be more real, use Gemini. Gemini is also really good, as you said, for research, but it has a lag in what the information is. I also find that DeepSeek, I like using DeepSeek. I'm so ashamed, but I do. It's really helpful as well. All right, and then also I'm going to share with you just on the marketing side, because I want you guys to understand how much you could use it. I also use Lumen. Lumen is, I'm going to go into here. I want to give you as much information as possible. Okay, so Lumen actually does videos for you. They do text to video. So I took information from chat that I did, put it into did, then I stripped it down, and I got just the voice, and then I put the voice through and created that. Can you hear? Is it speaking? It's not speaking, don't know why. But anyway, it actually, I don't know why it's doing that. Oh wait, maybe if I refresh.
What if I told you that right now, a gold mine of untapped talent is just waiting to be discovered? In 2025, the job market is witnessing a surprising twist with thousands of skilled federal employees suddenly on the hunt for new opportunities. This isn't just another hiring cycle. This is your secret weapon to outsmarting the big corporations. Picture this: former IRS experts who can navigate complex financial landscapes, DOE veterans skilled in managing large-scale projects, and former EPA innovators ready to propel your business into new realms of sustainability and technology. These aren't ordinary candidates. They are seasoned professionals who operated at the heart of our nation's most critical projects. While major industry players remain distracted and the public...
The whole thing.
So you just upload a script and it takes care of the rest?
Well, you could upload a script, or you could also do vocals. You could, so remember, I cloned my voice. I did it on my Dig platform. I created a whole different video, and then I took the video and stripped out just the vocals. And then I shouldn't really say I did. But then you input this in, and it creates this text, words, pictures. I'm like, I'm loving this. This changes Instagram and just changes YouTube and everything else. And a lot of the YouTube videos that you all are clicking on is created like this. So this is Lumen 2. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I've got a couple more, but I'm going to leave the
Okay.
floor open if anybody has any questions.
Yes.
How often do you think about like the rapid growth of AI? Does it sometimes make you think that you maybe this company will work for a certain amount of time, and then there's a certain point where you're gonna have to sell the company?
Oh, yes, I hope so. No, just kidding. Okay, the thing is, you always have to have an exit plan when you have a company as an entrepreneur. I'm always thinking like, okay, will my kids take it over? You know, will I sell it, make billions? Will I be the first billionaire that does this? We don't know. But I do always think about where AI is going and how it will change. And I love change, and I love being innovative and being creative. So this is what it is now. In 2 years, it's going to be so much more. Right now, I'm in the middle of working with Watson AI, which is IBM's platform, and their people. They're creating AI Rose, where it's total game changer. When you log in, you'll be able to, she'll know who you are, which is important. But then the other thing is she'll be able to hold you, remember that, okay, you did this last week. You said you were going to do this. Was it done? What happened? Let's set the course for next, you know, and that's really important. That's literally what I do, you know, besides being infused with all the positive stuff. Also be able to upload documents, which is also very important, because analyzing your Excel sheets, which you will need to do. You know, I know you guys don't think about this in school, but the knowledge you learn in school about how to do it is really, really important.
So I want to save some time for questions from everybody, but I mean, I could ask you a million questions about AI, because, you know, but the one thing I want to know is, like, all of these students are going to be entering the workforce in the age of AI. It's a very different place than it was a few years ago. So what advice do you have for them in this, like, crazy, rapid changing world?
I would tell you to learn AI. Be proficient, not in the sense of you don't have to be a genius in it. You don't have to be technical, but what you will have to do is know how to work with it, because it's not here to replace you, but it's here to do your day-to-day, I would say, repetitive things. It'll do it for you, and it'll do it better than you. So now you get to be a little bit more creative, you know? You get to be more in the managerial spot than as the doer. And that's how you really need to think of AI. So when you think of the jobs you're going into, think about what AI will most likely replace. I mean, I could list some things. Does anybody know some things that they say AI will replace in the future? Well, no, not humans, but it will replace certain jobs. Like for instance, coaching, it will replace a lot of coaches that are probably not good. It won't replace the ones that are more emotional, have emotional empathy and attachment and able to help somebody that way. That won't, because it can't feel, but it can definitely give you the information you need. It could definitely hold you accountable. But then you got to think about accountants. How well is accounting field going to do? You know, it will replace a lot of people that a company would have to have on staff, but somebody has to overlook it because AI makes mistakes. So you have to be able to overlook it. And the first part of it is training it. So if you're going into accounting, know it well enough, but know AI well enough so that you can train it and be the trainer. That's the way you have to think about it. Think about anything you want to go in. Anybody, what do you guys want to do? Raise your hand to tell me what you guys want to get into. Finance? Accounting? Or are we talking about trading?
Trading.
Oh my God, trading? You know, think about that. It'll be able to pull all the information that you would usually have to do research for days to come to a conclusion. But guess what? Now you get to be more of a person to the person. People like that interaction attachment. People miss it. So what I tell you moving forward is, look for a field, if you're going to go into a field, look for a field where they need that human touch. Or, no AI.
So I want to save some time here for questions from all of you. What questions do you have? We're going to come and bring the mic around so we get this on tape. So here, start with Gene. Here.
How you doing? I'm Jaden.
Hi, Jaden.
Hi. What was the process like selling your business? Like from step one, knowing that you want to sell it, to actually the deal being done?
Okay, so when I started business, now I guess in the last 15 years, I always think about the exit strategy that I said. And it is evaluating your business. You have to be able to evaluate what it's going to be. AI, this platform alone was evaluated at $109 million to sell it, right? With not a lot of members, just started out, but it's also where it's going to go. So people think that we're in an AI bubble, but it's really, it is growing, and I don't think it's going to go away. So you do have to do that. But so how do you come up with evaluation? There are broker companies or agents that actually do this for you. You should have a good understanding of what you're thinking you want to do it for, but it's important to hire the right people to help you to do it, and that's what I've always done. And then also partnering with people, you know, seeing there are people that you work with that might want to buy your business. You see people that have taken over companies that they've worked with for years. That happens. So that's how, I mean, I go about it. I also think about my kids doing it, but no one's shown interest yet. Did I answer your question? Is that okay? Okay. Any? Yes.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Noah.
Hi, Noah.
So I work for a talent management company, and I know you're in entertainment, and I was just wondering, like, as an entrepreneur in entertainment, which is a very obviously volatile industry, how do you how did you start the creation of that trust of professionals who are often sort of jaded to the industry?
When you say like, okay, so you want to know, how do I work with somebody that's in the entertainment business already, that's jaded?
Sort of, more so like, how did you build the trust for people who have had experiences in entertainment when it is sort of volatile and constantly moving industry that can cause a lot of stress, I guess, for industry professionals?
Well, I think the first thing, you know, I do is I have to believe in the product, right? So one of the products I'm doing right now is my daughter singing. And she's 20, when I say my daughter, she's not old, she's 26. She's been singing for years, and we put out her different singles that she has, and you're always building an audience. So in that case, when you say about trust, is the audience really trusting you and believing you? And now it's how many points that they're touching base with you that they learn to trust you and they believe in what you're giving them. So it's constant, and you're constantly doing it. One mistake and they kind of hate you these days. So you got to be careful there. Anything else? Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Aiden. I just wanted to know, since obviously you having the experience as a business coach, when helping CEOs or businesses grow, at what point, like, where do you differentiate the use of AI between the use of AI and the use of an actual individual who may be experienced in a certain industry that you may be looking help in for?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, when I talk and meet with people, even if somebody joins the platform, it's always, I try as much as I can to actually meet with them one-on-one to really understand what they're trying to achieve. I think that's the most important thing to know about who you are. And that is how you're going to build your company out, is based on who you are. So how do I decide is I talk to you. If it's something that's going to be helpful for you, I don't see where it can't be, because we're not really good at everything, and we may not have all the money or the finances that we need, and it helps cut back on that. It really does. So in most cases, like for instance, I'm going to use a client. He has a golf course up in Somers, and I was working with him, and he's like, doesn't even know how to use his computer basically. I'm like, so did you run this through at least Gemini and see? He was like, why would I do that? I'm like, let's log on, shall we? And we logged on, and he's like, wait, does my office know about this? I'm like, I'm sure they do. They're all younger than you. So, I mean, he found it so useful, but that was after a year and a half of working with him. But I was able to slide it in there. Any other questions?
Do we have?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Jordan, and my question to you is, what would you say was the hardest challenge? What would you say were the hardest challenges when you were breaking into a heavily saturated market, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, the hardest market I thought I had to break in was probably the technology market. But what I'm going to tell you all is, know your craft, know it really well, and be focused on it. Start with one customer and build out from there. Know your demographic, know who you're dealing with, know where they live, what they do, and then really be good at what you do and focus in. Don't so much focus on, oh, this person is doing this, my competitor is better at this, my competitor. You find that niche. With me, I work with small business, women, and minority business owners. That's what, from 0 to 10 million. I'm niche focused, right? And that's what makes it easy for me.
Good question. Any other questions?
Yes.
Hi, my name is John.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to morph the AI model to a point where you were comfortable enough to give it out to other people?
A year. I started this, I think, in December of 2023. And I'm still like, and this is where it's hard, you guys, as a business owner. You create something, you're like, is it ready to be put out there in the world? But as a entrepreneur, you have to put it out. The feedback you get, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it makes it even better because you can then tweak it. So it didn't take me long at all. And in fact, I was testing this AI, it's called Browser Do. And it literally will go into a company and this is maybe not a good thing, but I belong to Westchester Business Council, and it went in and it strips down like all the people I wanted to, the different companies, their CEOs, their emails, and it'll create an email for me and send it out to them. I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool.
You said?
Browser Do, and it's in beta. I test a lot of things in beta.
Good question.
Yes.
When approaching investors, how do you differentiate yourself or make yourself stand out when approaching them?
Okay. That's actually interesting because investors, they're funny people, right? There are banks that are investors, there are angel investors, there are crowdfunding. So there's different, and it's all depends. But what I would tell you first is, make sure you have a business plan, make sure you've done a feasibility study, make sure you really understand your market, and make sure you have an incredible team behind you. Sometimes people invest the team that you have behind you over your idea. All right, and especially if you're just starting out. So I would say that's really the key for investors. But when I say they're a little funny, some like the guy that invested in Blackwood Entertainment Marketing Group that went into invest, he was in finances, and he was dying to get into entertainment world, and so many people are. And he wanted to get into sports, and it was his entry. And we had the experience, so that's how he came in, right? And we're like, okay, we added the sports part because he wanted it. I know nothing about sports, but that's what he wanted. So I was able to be a little flexible, you know. I knew my market, and then he actually helped me with the sports part, and then brought in people that was qualified. Notice how I'm saying support qualified people. So when it comes to finances, really, you gotta know your stuff, but then you have to have a good team, and you have to be a little flexible.
I think we have time for one more if anybody's got it. All right, well,
All right.
thank you, Rose, so much for coming in.